degree of separation, certainly. I think on the flip side, it's not that competitive because nobody talks to anybody. But right, yeah, it's competitive in the search results, but I don't think it's very competitive. Like a lot of people have abundance mindsets, which is really cool. But there's this interesting thing where if you're out there and interacting with other SEOs, it's kind of like an opt-in community. Whereas everybody who decided to leave the keyboard in the basement or the cafe and come out and show their face, they're opting in to join the community versus hanging out in front of their PC or Mac, right? So it's a really interesting thing because in theory you could never meet another SEO and be a veteran in the space, right? But the folks that do decide to break out of their shell and talk about this stuff have a lot of meaningful conversations. I've met so many cool peers and talking about this stuff, you know. So if I hadn't stepped out of the shell, so to speak, I think I would have missed out on a lot of opportunities, a lot of different perspectives and just new ways of doing business. The peers that I have are great. So it's so funny. I used to think I would have to work my whole life to find a cool set of peers to do like what I consider really cool stuff. And it happened to me a few years ago. I was looking around at the peers that I was talking to in all these Slack groups or in these Telegram groups or just people that I think are doing really cool stuff. And I realized like we have that little dojo of like black ops, like cool, like, super secret, neat stuff going on. And I didn't need to scale and build an agency to get that incubator. I have an incubator of good community and good folks. So I feel very fortunate with the folks that I met, and anybody who's wondering, should you get involved with the community? Just keep in mind, every discipline since the beginning of time has like had this gathering of practitioners, right? So like, how is this internet marketing thing? I think as humans, it's good for us to work with people who are doing similar stuff as just a way to sharpen up. So my goal a long time ago was to be kind of the dumbest guy in the room. So you find yourself getting into different rooms very quickly and you're like, I don't know what these guys are talking about, but at least, I feel like I'm in the right place. So just get out there, challenge yourself. And I recommend everyone to reach out to their SEO peers and see if anyone is willing to have a conversation, because a lot of folks have an abundance mindset because the ocean is very wide, so to speak. So that's kind of what's going on there. Yeah, we definitely do. I think there's always a degree of like, all right, here it is, right? Unfortunately, this is, I think, can be true of any sort of craft or any sort of discipline or even any sort of hobby. You have somebody who's fresh, who has a fresh mindset about it and is ready to learn. And then you have somebody who's established and is doing their best and working hard and they're learning for themselves. And then there's somebody who's in the late stage of the game and is stepping away from it. But unfortunately, they're in the late stage of the game and all the eyeballs are looking at them and they become detached from the process and then they become spouting. So it's always this process of like, are you a hero or are you just a demigod, like spouting just like nonsense? And you got to look at your sources, and not everyone's a trusted source. And I think I encourage everyone to look at multiple sources for any sort of factoid on this stuff. But there is a degree of like, there's a following, right? And sometimes it's almost the sense of like, one should not question the leader, the dear leader, right? So you're going to find this within any community, and SEO is no different. And that's why, I encourage everyone to have multiple sources on everything. And I hope you like learning, because there's a lot of this stuff and it's a lot of learning. You can tune into who you want to, and there's plenty of people to tune into as well.